We're going to start there. Welcome to episode 53, everybody. Please welcome Tommi Lee. What's going on, homie? Thanks for coming over.
Oh, yeah, of course. Happy to do it.
This makes me so happy. It was a wonderful weekend of gigs, and Tommi blessed my Saturday night by joining me in the recipe at the Tin Roof, and that shit was excruciatingly weird. I mean, someone threw a bra on the stage, and then her friend asked me for the bra back. I didn't know that's how that policy works, but please keep your undergarments to yourself. That stage is awfully sticky for you to put that back on, but that's your problem, not mine.
That's true. And actually, I can attest to this because I heard that there was one that got thrown before I got there, and then I actually had two thrown at me.
I thought there was 3 total, but I was like, Matt, you were just imagining that.
Oh, no. You sure weren't.
So, did you give those other 2 back?
I did. So,
Like immediately?
I played with them a little bit, and then I gave them back.
Now, see, that's something that I wouldn't have the confidence to do. Like,
I sure did.
Jeez.
Not to mention, my little brother was in the crowd, okay? So this adds
Not
an element
so
of
little.
he's a giant, but so my younger brother was in the crowd, and he said to me later, he was like, yeah, I don't know, it was so weird. I turned around, and then you just, like, had a bra in your hand. I don't know what the hell was going on. I was like, yeah, sorry I had to witness that.
Well, I was so tripped out the first time it happened because, like, most of the time my eyes are closed. I'm trying not to focus on those weirdos out there. Those people were just straight pupils and mouth breathers, not trying to judge them. But I see something fly past me and hit Nick, and I'm like, who's throwing shit at the drummer of all people? And I look back, and Nick's just smiling, holding a bra, playing with his other hand. I was like, all right. Well, we have the highest of expectations now for all Tin Roof locations. The PR is 3 bras. Feel free to take it to the next level or keep it to yourself. Neither of which is preferred. Do what you gotta do. We'll be in Indy on Wednesday for Blackout Wednesday. I wish it was just called Thanksgiving Eve, but when I was out there last week, they were like, yeah, that's Blackout Wednesday now. So
That's a really aggressive title for a day.
right, this ain't Black Friday. Like, quit just pulling them out and just pretending like this is a weekend just to go through inebriated. I mean, this is about family, everybody, and pilgrims.
Well, but it took me a long time into adulthood to realize, like, why everybody would go and get absolutely hammered the night before Thanksgiving. It's because Thanksgiving food is hangover food.
That's an extremely valid point. I've always thought it was like your high school friends come home for Thanksgiving, and now you have all these people that you never drank with growing up. So the college kids are in just like full gusto, like they're pushing for the worst case scenario. Yeah. And then the adults are in a similar boat where it's like, okay, I'm off tomorrow. How often I get to drink on a Wednesday? And they just get after it.
Gotta wake up in the morning, stick that turkey in the oven. Oh, God.
Now, even though it is hangover food, what's it like to prepare a Thanksgiving meal hungover?
Terrible, unless you start drinking in the morning with mimosas, and then it's all good. You might burn your turkey, but hey.
How am I supposed to get to Macy's on Black Friday if I've been drinking for 2 straight days?
You don't. You wait for Cyber Monday.
Okay, she's got points.
And you
Tommi
shop
Lee,
at
everybody,
home.
with the advice. Speaking of Cyber Monday, what are you going for this year?
I'm not really sure. I've been in a bit of a thing where I just kind of buy myself what I want when I want it.
It's a way to do it.
Yeah, so
Amazon, have you locked?
me and Prime have a special relationship.
But I feel like it's the time of year where I really do just order shit without thinking, because I'm like, I'll gift that to somebody, and then I end up playing with nephews' toys, like things I got for my nephews at age 3. I'm like, this is mine now. I got him. Actually, no, he doesn't watch this show. He's 3. I got my nephew a little drum set, so I got to find the rest of the parts for it. But I was like, you got to quit banging on my drum set, dude. So bought him a little kit. I'm very excited about it.
That is extremely cute. I really hope that you get footage of this, like of him playing this.
Well, so I got my brother for the gift exchange. He definitely doesn't watch this show. Cool, I'm good on this. I'm going to give him and his wife some earplugs and a gift card and just say, you're going to need these. And then bring out the drum set for him, and we'll see how he does with it. But I got to get it fixed up first.
That is so well thought out. I'm honestly very impressed.
Thank you, because I had no idea what to get them. So I was like, I'll just make their life hell. That's a great Christmas gift. Oh, and guess where I got it?
Where?
The utmost holiest of lands, the Valley Thrift.
Amazing.
Such a great find.
Oh, man.
Make sure you hit the thrift stores up around the holidays, y'all. There's always weird things being given away.
And hey, you know what? Something that I've thought about doing is buying furniture and like refinishing it and
Yeah.
like small pieces. I'm not talking like massive, like a kitchen table or anything, but like
Like an 8-seater?
yeah, just super cash, like no biggie.
I could see you having some serious sanding skills. Like I could see you getting down with some 440 grade.
I mean, I'm pretty ripped.
What does this have to do with biceps? So like,
Well, because you gotta really have a lot of strength to sand something.
no, I see this like all your body weight standing on this table. Like I'm gonna get you.
Oh, like with a power sander.
Yes.
Yeah.
Serious shit.
Honestly, I don't have a great relationship with power tools, to be quite honest. I'm a little intimidated by power tools.
Any stories you want to tell on that matter?
Well, so over the last year of my life, I've dealt a lot with construction-y type things, with refinishing a almost 100-year-old building, and so I just have realized that I really am very afraid of big tools. Like I don't
Aren't we all?
like them.
My bad. Wrong. Those aren't at the Arts Center, but now that we're talking about this, the Reading Arts Center.
Reading Community Arts Center.
Cool. I was missing one letter in there. I knew it.
Yeah,
that
you're
place is so killer.
It's pretty exciting. It's been a really long road of getting it ready and everything, but we actually just this weekend had our first big event. Well, I say first, but like this was our first big art event.
Yes.
So Larry Elmore, who is a fantasy artist, he's done his biggest fame is all through Dungeons and Dragons. He donated a ton. I'm talking like 50 prints. He donated them to us and said, do with them what you will. It's up to you. And then he actually came this weekend for like in person and was doing signings and stuff. It was incredible. And we had a huge turnout, which was amazing because let me tell you, like starting up an event center and trying to do good things for the community in the digital world that we live in is very difficult because people are so used to just getting exposed to everything online, and the drive to go to things in person is a lot less. And so the stress in my heart over like, oh my God, are people really going to show up to this in person? I cannot explain it. Like, not to mention I work with my mom. And so then like every conversation is like, oh my God, do you think people are going to come? I don't know. And then it's just like, you never know.
Yeah. Well, especially when, you know, y'all are trying to do something really special here. It's like, it's a nonprofit that goes into so many different dimensions of the arts. You're also trying to cater somewhat to the bridal district that's around you. It's like, and in this part of the state, Reading, Ohio has never had anything like that. You know, it's very unventured territory. So you're going in there with a blank slate, but there's nothing scarier than an empty canvas when it comes to something like that. Like
100%.
Like there's an unanswerable amount of questions about how to do this the right way compared to a place like the Phoenix or any of these downtown event centers that have, 50 plus years in this business, and it's mainly referrals after that. So it's hard for me to fathom everything that's gone into trying to put people in that place, on top of seeing like the actual renovations you did. Like you said, it's 100-plus-year-old building. You show me these pictures of y'all scraping down every single one of these walls and putting up brick or just repainting the whole thing. It looks incredible. Where can they find it online if they want to look it up?
So our website is www.readingcommunityartscenter.org. Website designed by me.
Gang!
I am no web designer, but hey, I think it turned out pretty good. We're also on Instagram at Reading Community Arts Center, and it's Reading spelled like reading. So, yeah, pretty exciting stuff we got going on. We just had our first classes last week.
What'd you start with?
So we got hired on by Bethany School in Glendale to do after-school programming. And so my mom is the visual artist out of the two of us. And so she is doing a clay class for 4th to 8th grade. And then I, on Thursday, had my first class of Intro to Theater for kindergarten to 3rd graders.
Oh, my God. Kindergarten to 3rd grade, like in a large mass, sounds like some kind of biblical plague. Like, it terrifies me to have kids of that age just run around doing whatever the hell they want.
There were 14 of them for 2 hours.
How'd they do with the theater?
Honestly, it was pretty great.
Really?
I was very nervous. I overplanned, which I guess was good, because with that age group with games and stuff, you never know if they're going to like rush through it or not be interested, and you got to move on. So I overplanned, but they were really enthusiastic. But they are at that age where once one kid like starts yelling or gets excited about something, then all of a sudden they're all chanting the same thing, and it's just like very weird. Right. And then I'm like, okay, but wait, like, and I'm wearing a mask in class, right? So, and all the kids are too. And so trying to get their attention without just like screaming. Luckily, they have this like weird clapping pattern that they do to get their attention that they do like in school.
What is it, like a slow clap? What
It's
do they
like
do?
and then they have to repeat it back to you.
Okay.
And that's what gets their attention. So, and I was aware of this, so that was very helpful because a few times they got a little out of control. But at one point they were chanting, Miss Tommy, Miss Tommy. And I was like, yeah, keep it going.
Secretly takes voice memos. Like, I'm going to hold this for a song a little bit later down the road.
I will use this to wake up to every day.
So, is that going on while the pottery class is going on as well?
So there are 2 separate days of the week.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, so we do clay on Tuesdays, and my class is on Thursdays.
And do you and your mom, like, assist each other? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't imagine 14 kids by yourself.
Oh,
That's
holy
horrible.
smokes, that would be terrible. I would not be able to handle it. Plus, they deal with her during the day because that's where she teaches full time.
Yeah.
So they kind of have a better working
okay.
relationship with her. So it's super helpful because she knows, like, where the bathroom is and all these things that I wouldn't really know.
Yeah.
But I did get a key.
Oh, so you go to the school. They don't come to the art center.
Yes.
Awesome. Because I was going to say, do y'all have a kiln or anything like that for this pottery class? Okay.
So my mom has a kiln at the school.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Ain't no transporting that stuff, though.
Oh, that thing weighs like 1,000,000 pounds. I cannot imagine.
Also, shout out Mama Harsh, who was also my substitute teacher in high school, okay? And we didn't have no clapping pattern, so she had to earn our respect, and she did it. It was real every time. We had horrible subs in high school, but Mama Harsh always held it down, so...
That was a really strange thing when I started like playing music with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this guy Matt, you know, he said he's went to school in Reading, he went to Moeller, blah blah blah. She's like, what's his last name? And I told her who you were, and she was like, oh, I taught him. And then my brother knew who you were. It was a very like bizarre thing. Yeah, Matt and I discovered on a gig how much we had in common, and it was a very, very weird, mind-blowy kind of feel. We were like in Dayton talking about Reading, Ohio.
Yes, well, like lived within 10 miles of each other our entire lives. It's like to meet someone, you know, at this stage in your life that's following the same profession but has all that same kind of background. It's like it's mind-blowing. And also the fact that you were involved so much in like the theater programs that like I tried a little bit at the tail end of my Moeller experience, but like to hear, you know, Bob Hotsey and people like that, it's like that shit is so funny. It makes my day.
Well, when I met Liam the first time, he showed me a picture of the two of you in the theater at MND, and I was like, what is happening? I know those ugly walls.
Liam, please delete those photos. They're a lot on my career and my personal self-confidence. We got to get rid of that shit.
I felt like I was looking in on a classic moment, so I think you should probably keep them. But, I mean, Matt is your friend more than me, so.
I'll get you a print. We can move on from that. So you grew up doing the theater at MND, but you also did like a CCM program growing up too?
Yeah. So I that was kind of my whole background was musical theater. I started doing musicals when I was 11, I think. I did community theater in Blue Ash with the East Side Players. And then
The East Side Players is an awesome name.
Yeah. Hey, that'd be a good band name, but it's probably already copyrighted.
Yeah, I wouldn't steal that. We just admitted that we took that from them. Come on.
Can you edit that out?
No, okay, yeah, I probably can, honestly.
So
stay tuned.
Right. So I started doing musicals there, and then I was at MND. But yeah, I connected with CCM prep program.
Cool.
And so that was amazing. So not only was I like in school Monday through Friday, and then was doing shows at school or at Moeller. I also did musicals at Moeller. But on Saturdays, every single Saturday, I would go for like 8 hours and do classes starting in the morning with like 3 different dance classes. And then I did like a musical theater class that was just kind of a generalized like group session, voice lessons, music theory. I mean, it was like a really intensive thing. But it was fantastic because I really think that attributed so much to why I felt so confident going into college for theater.
Yeah.
Because you worked your ass off. There was no room for slacking.
And where'd you go to college for theater?
Wright State.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Wright State has a huge theater program, right?
Yeah, and I honestly was just mad because they redid the entire Creative Arts Center right after I finished there.
Shady as fuck.
they were not looking out for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, there's certain things in the world that just aren't fair, and that was definitely intentional. They were definitely trying to get one on you, Tommy.
Honestly, they were like, "Oh, she's gone. Now we can start working on it."
You know, I felt that way about when I left Xavier. They did a bunch of like just renovations on the campus where it's like you can always feel slighted in that, but there's something so right about living in the dingy dorms and having like old facilities, and just the only thing to really appreciate that's fresh and new and vibrant is the people around you. Like the amenities will never make the space.
And they just smell old, you know.
Okay, well that's. Are you talking about the staff, the buildings, the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly, all of the above. No, really, I just mean like the dorms and shit like that, and like I don't know, but it's Xavier. I think has a lot more history than Wright State. Wright State pretty much looks like a prison.
Oh, okay.
I'm
One of
not
those concrete
joking.
jungle kind of vibes.
It's kind of like NKU in that way, where you
Yes.
walk and you're like, I shouldn't be here. Like I need to whisper because this is just weird.
Yeah, NKU blows my mind because it really is a concrete jungle. But you know, until certain people like Nick and Sammy were in the band, NKU was so far off my radar. Except like my buddy Charlie Andrews, who runs Badge's Drum Shop, went to NKU for a little while, was in the jazz program. But like once you get in there and you're around people that are used to those facilities, like they really have something special on that campus I think is different than the other schools around there. It's like, yeah, it's more of a commuter vibe, but especially their jazz program. Like those people kick ass.
I can't say I know much about that, but I'm also disconnected from. I mean, I'm getting into it, but I'm very disconnected from like the jazz scene.
Yeah.
Like that is just not something I've ever had knowledge about.
Well, there's something about like the Blue Water Kings, which is a band we both play in, about having that roster of people that really come from that background and really appreciate that has turned me on to more of what happens in Cincinnati. Like clubs like Schwartz Point or Cafe Vivace or the old Blue Whistlers, places that really do try hard to preserve what is an important and you know a well-studied musical tradition. Like these guys and girls, they dedicated 4 years and a lot of money to being in these classes that could take them to the next level as a player. And then there's no pop culture demand for it, you know? Like there's not enough young people going out to see these shows that appreciate it. And we were talking a little bit about our show on Saturday. There's something to be said about where live music is going in the world we live in right now, where you hear amazing musicians all the time in formats that leave you so disconnected from what's going on there. Like watching on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, or even just watching shows online and only catering to the top level of professionality. Like until you sat down at a keyboard, you'll never appreciate the guy that just has great feel, not doing anything fancy, just has a great overall rhythm and bounce to them. These kind of things, to get them underhand, takes thousands and thousands of hours. So when it comes to a genre like jazz, to watch not only these people who have mastered their own instruments, but they've mastered the communication. You know, they have this jargon, this vocab to be able to express these really, these really deep ideas through the music with just seamless integration of each other's thoughts and expression. That
I completely agree. And I will say, a friend, Justin Dawson,
yeah,
said to me recently, you know, jazz isn't necessarily about the complicated music. It's about the vibe. You want jazz is about making people feel welcome and feel cool and feel like they're immersed in this jazz thing.
Yeah.
And that made me feel like, okay, I could peek into this a little more, you know, rather than just trying to sit and analyze every single note that they're hitting and all these really, really complicated things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing, too. I mean, if you have any more than a trio, I feel like in a jazz situation, there's just a lot happening.
There's so much air being moved in a space. It's hard to let go of one piece to concentrate on. Like if you're a drummer, you want to just listen to the drummer, but it's like, but if you tune yourself out to the horn section, you miss what's going on in this. Mm-hmm. But it also kind of reminds me of theater. It's like there's so many things to focus on, but the art happens when you're able to stop focusing on it and just be there. And then suddenly you start to craft this little microcosm that, you know, you and the audience can all live in, where this is the only thing that's happening right now. And like there's real disconnects when the only thing we all do is look at our phone and figure out what club we're going to next, or think about what we're doing tomorrow. It's like not being able to step away from those things is important. And one thing that you talking about, Justin, kind of remind me of, it's like if there's anything that jazz does well, it reminds us how much dissonance needs to play a part in constants. Like tension and relief is the way you craft art that is moving. And like real sugar-coated pop music is missing dissonance now. It's like 3 chords and a super easy to sing melody is great until you have an idea that that feels great and hurts at the same time. You got to do both. And that might be a good time to segue. Like as a songwriter, I really feel like it's hard to sift through your ideas and start to tell people about what they are in their entirety. You're never going to get that full picture across. But to start with, a verse or a chorus and to have that in your hand as a writer is one of my favorite joys in life. And that's something you've recently stepped into, right?
Yeah. So I had always sort of had this block with songwriting. I don't know. I mean, as a creative person, you're always your worst critic, right? And you always are dogging yourself and saying you're not going to be good enough. And I know especially that comes with theater too, because it's a life full of rejection. I mean, you're constantly told you don't look right, you don't sound right, you don't quite fit what we're going for here. Like everything you do is wrong until it's right like one time. So with writing, I always sort of felt like I just can't do it. I don't have enough to say. It's not going to come out right. But I'm finally, honestly, thanks to you, hugely, am feeling more comfortable expressing myself in that way. And there is something so freeing and healing about taking what's inside your heart and finding a different way to express it rather than just verbally. It's a really powerful yet humbling, and I don't know, it's a weird emotion to convey, but there is something really, really special about it. And I finally am feeling more comfortable with like allowing those kinds of things to come to me and to be expressed.
And you've done such a great job in terms of jumping like both feet into this. Like we all have this deep, dark fear of failing in whatever venture you take on. It can be in your career, it can be in your art, it can be in your personal life. And I think what we all hope for is traction. You want to feel like you take grip somewhere and you pull forward in that. And sometimes we conflate numbers with true traction. Like, I put out this colorful video on Friday, and thank you so much to everyone that's watched that. It means the world to me. But as the person that is holding on to it for months, worrying about it, talking to Simeon about it, talking to Taylor about it, and having all these stresses, I don't end up happy with where the numbers are at. I never will. And that's 100% the most frustrating part, but it's the best part to realize that I'm not doing this for a number on the screen. I'm doing it for the couple people that will come up and say, like, I watched that and it made my weekend. Like that was the most hype thing I've gotten in the last couple of weeks. And as a fan of yours now, I gave you that challenge of like, let's just sit down and write something. And in the first write, we're going through these things. Like we were both crying within like 15 minutes. But like that's also part of that process of really just ripping it open and being super vulnerable for a little bit. But then the next song you spit at me is 3.5 minutes, refined and ready to go, because you had tapped into that muse. And as a fan, it's like I don't know what your hopes are for the song, what your hopes are for the traction of it. But that song flicked something in the back of my head, and it brought me joy. It's like the song I'm talking about is a tune of hers called "Easy to Love You." And what's really amazing about this song is anyone could wish it's about them. It's one of those love songs that really does make you feel desired for and cared for. It just has something that's so present about it. And if you didn't take that risk, I'm one person that got affected by that. This ain't 2 million plays on Spotify. It's not 100,000 views on Instagram or anything like that. But it's one person who was like, I didn't know I needed that song until now. And it's just such a powerful thing.
it's weird and cool, and I think I am so excited that I'm able to do that, and I've shared what I have, like the demo that we've made basically with a few people, and like even my brother, honestly, like his reaction meant a lot to me because he was like, it's just so cool that you're doing that. Like, it's really, he was like, I mean, it's a good song. Like he said in his terms, that shit slaps, he said.
Blaze Jason, he's hip with the kids.
Yeah, he's like, he's too cool for me. I don't know. But getting that reaction out of somebody that is so close to you and could easily just be like, yeah, I mean, it's fine. To have that genuine reaction of like, that's really good. Like, you did that. There's something that just is so gratifying about that. Like, and it's not about, okay, yeah, I wrote a good song. I don't care. Like, that's that's not what it's about for me. It's about that I found a successful pathway to express something that I had been feeling that I think probably other people will relate to too.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that I guess is the beauty of art, right?
For sure. And it's that contrast in the catalog. Like I said, like the first song we worked on was very somber, but it's the relationship of the two. You have these spectrums of what it means to have love and to lose love, and there's something about working intimately on a project like that together that brings people close together, but it lets listeners in. You're bringing this artist into the art center. It's like out of 50 pieces that are totally separate from each other, but as a culmination, you have an idea of what this person's life is like and where you two might like. What's the diagram with the two circles? And there's a
Venn diagram.
A Venn diagram. You see where like your lives can intersect for a little bit. And if there's anything I feel like we all miss right now in a mainly online world, it's the things we have in common rather than the things that divide us. And like finding times to just enjoy that. Like, I forget who I was listening to. I think I was listening to something on Rogan where it was just like, when I need to get inspired, I go to get entertained. Because when you try to force it, when you sit there and you just beat your head with a hammer trying to get an idea out, you end up just with a head fracture. Like, you end up hurt over that rather than stepping away and just enjoying this life that we're living. The miles that you're putting on this bodysuit we get to wear, and that definitely has a finite lifespan. It's like it's not all about what you can turn out. Sometimes you have to step back and just experience it. And as a songwriter myself, like, I haven't had anything huge come out in the last couple weeks, a couple of songs here and there, but to play on your stuff, it's like I have been entertained immensely in that. I have found something new just to really love in that. So it's so gratifying to be able to sit on the sidelines and see how these things just start to come out and find flesh on the bones,
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a weird process. I mean, like, that first song that we were working on was it was literally my first foray into ever doing this, right? And so that was such an emotionally connected thing for me. But I think it ignited something.
Yeah.
And it really
baby.
kind of turned on like whatever was like happening in here now. And like Easy to Love You, at the end of our first session, he leans over to me and he's like, yeah, like, you got anything else kind of boiling? And I was like, well, I don't know. And I played him a couple like voice memo collections from like literally me in the middle of the night. Like, this melody had come to me, and that had turned into Easy to Love You in like 2 seconds flat.
Yeah.
I think you got to be willing to like go with the flow in this kind of process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I'm trying to adapt to, is being willing to just like let it happen. And even, I mean, we had a session last week recording all my vocals for that tune, and some things came out of that like I didn't expect to happen. There's
Totally.
like some harmony sections in there that I'm like, oh, sick, cool. Like, this is where this is going. This is taking a little bit of a different direction. Like, I'm really into it.
Yeah. And like, there's something that's so special about, like, when you write a song or when you start on a project, you have an idea of where you're going to end up, but it's the actual manifestation of that, the slow grind and the build to those things where you get pleasant surprises if you don't try to get too adamant about where you think this is going, because most of us have no idea in the slightest. And I had a great gig with the guys the other day where it was my first Christmas gig of the year. And I don't love playing Christmas gigs because it's the one time a year where I have to learn this music out of nowhere, it feels like, and just get back into that routine. And I'm stepping up there with Jason, Nick Meehan, Jamarco, and Kevin. And we have discussed none of this. Like, it was a rough song list, and like I didn't even put the artist on most of these songs. I said miscellaneous, and they were like, yeah, it really helps when you put an artist. But we're all just going off of the feeling of the show and what's going on. And out of nowhere, there's families and kids running around. There's a candy cane guy on stilts, and shit's just weird. We're trying to run through these songs, and it's just like the only thing you can do is sit back and enjoy a little bit and let it come together and kind of live in that dangerous zone. It's like you're standing in the booth over this song that it's happened so fast, I'm not sure either of us know exactly what it needs and what it doesn't need, but if it feels right, you got to do it. You got to get moving on it.
Right.
And it's so fascinating. I feel like that's also what happens in theater when like you're plotting for the first time. It's like, how many times we run these words down? Like, what happens when I put some action to this and suddenly it has something, you know?
Right. Well, and it makes sense. That's something that I have understood now in adulthood is like going into a rehearsal off book, like having everything memorized, because that way you're so much more mobile. Like, I'm panicking because, so I'm doing a little shameless plug here. I'm doing Matilda upcoming with the Children's Theater of Cincinnati, and that will be running the first 2 weekends of February. We start rehearsal for that January 3rd, and I have to be off book at the first rehearsal, and it's a lot of lines, and I also like have a lot of life going on right now, so like sitting down with my script and just hammering out. I mean, so I'm playing Miss Honey, who is the character in Matilda that saves her or whatever, and in the musical version, it's a lot of monologuing. Like, it's a lot of lines. I'm going to have to hammer that shit out.
I can't comprehend words on a page very quickly at all. I don't know how you do that to yourself. So my man Jordan had just walked down, someone that I also know who's done a lot of musical theater. It's just like the skill that you develop for learning and regurgitating these lines out of thin air, it feels like, to someone that just doesn't do it well. Like the one play I did at Muller, like, it was the week of the show, and I'm like, I still got 4 of these pages that I just don't even know what I'm talking about. And I don't know this British accent thing's gonna work, but I gotta get some of this peanut butter out my mouth and figure this shit out. So like, to hear, you know, I've heard a little bit about this show. I've never seen Matilda. I don't know the plot. I will come see your show.
The movie? You've never seen the movie?
No, let's not judge on the air. Let's move on. Come on, keep it to yourselves, dogs.
Okay.
But you know, I know a little bit about the things going on in your life. I don't see how you're gonna memorize this book before the 23rd, but for Christmas I'll get you some Adderall.
Okay.
Someone give me a plug. No, I'm kidding. That's inappropriate.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, it's gonna be hectic trying to memorize that with all the other things I have going on. But hey, it's gonna be worth it, and it's gonna be amazing. But like, to dial back to where we were with that, like going in and knowing already, like, okay, these are my lines, and it makes it so much easier to put in action with what you're saying because you already know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
But like with live music and the other side of my life and that type of thing, a lot of it is just rolling with the punches and like, hey, we're going to solo for a lot longer and then you're going to come back into the chorus. Like, that was something that was so uncomfortable for me when I first started doing this kind of gig.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, so we play the song. Because like in every other aspect of my life, that's what you do. You just play the song. In this kind of thing, you don't just play the song. You play the song, and then you go into a solo here, and then they're going to solo, and then they're going to solo, and we're all going to rock out together, and then we're going to come back around, and we're going to do this verse again, and then we're going to do the chorus again. And, I mean, it's like, oh, my God, there's so much happening. And, like, this is not what I expected, but, hey, it sounds really sick, so we're going to keep riding away. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I felt that way about, like, so we just talked a little while back, and the more Tommy and I are gigging together, the more we're figuring out the show that we like to put on together. And she mentioned to me a few weeks ago, like, I gotta have a wireless mic. I gotta be free on the stage. So I was like, all right, let's get you set up. Shout out to Corey from Shirt for always sending the gear, brother. But But the other night we're at Tin Roof, and me and Jordan had driven back from Lexington in the morning, and I was on like hour 18 of my day, and I was a little inebriated, so I got my eyes closed, and we're playing that little Chris Stapleton ditty, and I looked to my right where Tommy was, and she's just gone. And then she's on my left. She's like, "You're solo." And I was like, "When did you shapeshift like this shit?" It's like everything's a surprise, and people throwing braziers and people bringing liquor to the stage. And it's its own animal. It's like to go from something that's that loose to something this structured and to keep doing them at the same time is nauseating, my friend.
My brain is a little, it's a lot. My brain has a lot going on in it.
Yeah.
At all times.
One day it shall be mush, but today you are strong.
And this is why we continue to drink coffee.
You're just a fan of the Starbs. I see what's going on here.
Okay, so like I used to be a really big Dunkin' Donuts girl. And then I worked in Madeira, and there's a Starbucks like right there. And so I would walk to it every day to get my 84-year-old boss coffee. And then me and Starbucks became besties again. I was like, well, now that's all I drink.
I didn't drink coffee until like a year ago, and now
Excuse me?
Right? I was doing a great thing for my life, avoiding that kind of caffeine addiction, and now I'm a 3-cup in the morning, 2-cup in the afternoon kind of guy, and I'm about to have palpitations, so I might be switching that up soon.
Green tea is a great alternative.
Well, my Nana drank a pot of black tea every single day from 40 on, and she got in her late 80s and was just sharp as a tack. So I'm like, maybe that's the way to go.
I mean, like, more power to you if you want to do that. I'm going to stick with the beans here.
Beans. I keep seeing ads for that mud water stuff, and that kind of trips me out.
I know someone who has been drinking that.
Really?
He's like super outdoorsy and
Okay.
It makes sense. Like he like rides mountain bikes and stuff. So like he would drink that really trendy like non-coffee stuff.
This is a new stereotype for me. Dirt bikers who love alternative coffee sources. Like this is awesome.
He also rock climbs. So
does he drink Monster Energy? Like that's where I feel like the stereotype was going, but he sounds way more organic than.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he drinks energy drinks. I think he's like too cool for that, like
word. He's above that.
Yeah.
He would still rep it as a brand, if he got paid for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They all do that.
Yeah.
I want to try that the coffee that's made from like non-hallucinogenic mushrooms, but do whatever you got to do, but that seems like a better resource for it too.
I'm curious about that as well.
Yeah. It would take some serious convincing though to like sway me onto that team. Like the access to coffee is what I love about it. Like it's been a year and a half. Like I can always get a little shake me up. I'm drinking less Coca-Cola, which makes me feel less like a toilet. And it's a very jittery lifestyle right now. So I might be.
Yeah, I mean that there to me is nothing like that. You really like you're feeling like shit, and then you like have like a cup and a half, and you're like, oh, I feel really good. And then like you start to sink down. You're like, I should probably eat some food instead. I'll just have another cup of coffee. And then you do that, and then you're just like feeling
then
crazy.
You have IBS.
Yeah. Honestly, you're just like shitting your brains out all day long. So worth it, honestly. Yeah.
So worth it. Oh my God. Well.
It's not where I thought this was going.
I think we should end on a different note than that. But if you've made it this far, ladies and gentlemen, know that you're a percentage of small, adamant, and loved listeners. It means the world. Tommy, what do you got in terms of shows coming up that you'd like to promote?
What do I have going on? This is Thanksgiving, right?
Yes.
So I have a wedding on Wednesday, so sorry that's not a public event.
Bang, bang.
Friday and Saturday, though, I will be at Prime Cincinnati.
Woo.
Yes.
Shout out Pedro.
Yes, that's my dude on the drum kit. But big one that I'm super excited about, December 23rd, my friend Riley Commissar and I will be doing a Christmas cabaret at the good old Ghost Baby.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's about to go down. Our band is fire. We got Jackson Steiger on the keys. We got Nick Heffern on the drums. We got Sammy Ruscher on the bass. And we got Carlos Vargas Ortiz on the guitar. It's going to be sick, bruh.
You went like slightly Canadian at the end there.
I don't know. I got taken over. I don't know.
God, I love Carlos. That dude rips. And also, Jackson and Sammy and Nick together sounds Very hot. Very hot.
I just like Jackson and I played a lot together over the summer because he was like my dude. Like
Yeah.
I played at Ghost Baby almost every week, and the love that I have for the way that he plays piano is like, oh my God, I will gas that guy up all day. I'm serious. The amount of times I would publicly embarrass him during sets, like there was one time he was just like playing, like killed this incredible solo, and he never is looking at music, never ever. Like he just has the chords on his phone. I get like the and he's just like smashing this solo out. And at the end of the tune, I like made the audience applaud for him. I was like, give it up for Jackson. Yeah, like he's amazing. He's not even looking at music. He's so good. And like he just like is not even looking at the audience. Okay. Like he's like just looking at his keyboard, like waiting for me to shut the hell up and like continue with the next song. And I said, oh, come on, Jackson. Like he doesn't really say much, but he's a great guy. And I said, give him a smile. And he just looks over at the crowd and goes,
Very Jackson. Very Jackson.
I could not deal. Like, I seriously was dying laughing. I was like, okay, that was great. Can we move on?
My first time playing Prime was actually with Jackson. I got called to sub there like 2.5 years ago before Peter had moved here from Miami.
Okay.
And so I started playing a little bit at Prime. And then Nelson, who owns Prime, and shout out to that family. They're amazing people. That restaurant is off the charts. Go check them out. But Nelson said to me, my brother-in-law is moving here from Miami. I want you to play with him. And I'm thinking, like, I don't like being told who's going to be playing drums for me. Like, that gives me a lot of anxiety. It's just too important of a role to leave up to fate. You know what I mean? Like, especially when someone says, like, my brother-in-law, like, no offense,
like,
Peter. I didn't have faith in you until I met you. But we were homies from the get-go. Like, it was mainly, like, Motown-fueled stuff, like, a lot of great funk. He's playing electronic kit like I've never seen somebody play this. It's all his sounds just dialed in. And he's been playing with the Recipe for probably the last year now, off and on, when we need somebody. He's crushed it with you. Highly recommend Peter if anyone's looking for a drummer in Cincinnati. Just dude slays it.
It's the dude. The dude.
Well, anything else on the calendar?
So, I mean, we're a little ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
But January 29th is going to be a big day for me.
Ooh, tell me.
So that is my first ever headlining show on a Saturday night at Ghost Baby.
Gang, gang, gang.
Super excited. I got my hand-picked band, my hand-picked set list, and we're going to be debuting officially the full version of my first single.
Give me that motherfucker.
Oh, sorry, that was really loud, but I'm super excited.
It's gonna be great. And again, if I can do any hype up here at the end, your songs have blown my mind. You are a straight veteran and a baller on that stage. But thank God we can get the homegrown stuff on top of it. Like it's been so cool to watch.
And it feels really good. So thanks for all your help with that.
I'm happy to. In terms of shows for me and the Recipe, catch us Wednesday in Indianapolis for Thanksgiving Eve for Blackout Wednesday. Please don't come up to me straight pupils and ask me for Mr. Brightside. I will fight you. Friday, we got Funksgiving with Freak Face and the Bump Assembly at the Ludlow Garage. And on Saturday night, they're going to be going to Columbus. Columbus friends, check them out. Saturday night for us, I have no idea where I'm... Oh, I know where I'm playing. Okay, in the afternoon, I'm in Louisville, 12 to 3. Then we're coming home. I'm making my debut at Dead Low Brewing from 7 to 10 on Saturday.
I love that place.
Never played there. I've heard great things.
Their chicken wings are amazing.
Okay, I'm going for the chicken wings. Sunday, every single Sunday night, catch me at the Fishbowl at the Banks from 7 to 11. And then I believe next Monday, we got the Monday's Muse. My special guest, who you'll see on the show next week, is Jimmy Klepper of See You in the Funnies. That dude is releasing nothing but heat in the last couple months. So please check him out, Jimmy Klepper on Spotify. See You in the Funnies is his band. He also has a group called Easy Rugby. They are all baller. I love that dude to death. Other special guests include Jordan Frankly speaking, Amy Jo, and a new buddy of mine named Alex. It's going to be a phenomenal night of music, so please come on out to that. Tommy, if I can guiltily get you there, please come on out. But this is episode 53 of The Wave, y'all. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you soon. Go, go.